Welcome, moms, to your practice.
This is a 20-minute practice designed to strengthen the power of your body and your mind. All moms could use more power and strength in their physical body, so we invite you to challenge yourself and do this practice every day.
If at any time during the practice something doesn't feel right in your body, please invite yourself to take child's pose
And wait to rejoin the sequence when you feel even in your breath. If you would like an easier practice, Alana will be modifying the poses throughout the sequence.
We will be taking time at the end of the sequence
to show proper form and alignment of a few of the poses.
So I invite you to step to the front of your mat, feet hip distance apart, and allow the hands to come together as an honoring. We're beginning with Surya Namaskara, the salutation to the sun. Settle into your breath, feel grounded in your legs, and release your arms down by your side. Allow the breath to lead the movement. Inhale, reach the arms up for the sky, gaze upward, and exhale, dive forward. Inhale, keeping the legs strong, look forward, undulate with the breath, and exhale, step or jump back, plank pose. Lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. Draw the strength from your palms and your feet into the power of the back of the chest. And each inhale, power the muscle to the bone, and each exhale, soften a bit more. Step the right leg forward, followed by the left, and exhale, bow in honor of your own body. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, draw the breath through the hands in front of the heart. Release the arms down by the side. Inhale, grow tall, gaze up, reach up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, jump back. Release down chaturanga. Inhale, draw forward, upward facing dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, 1. Release the breath. Inhale, 2. Inhale, 3. Step the left leg forward this time, followed by the right. Exhale, bow. Inhale, reach all the way up, arms tall, legs grounded, palms together, releasing them down in front of the heart. As you release your hands down, stay strong in the legs, lift the toes, engage the muscle. Draw the arms all the way up with the breath, reach for the sky. Exhale, dive forward, touch the floor. Stay grounded in the hands and the feet as you lengthen the spine. Exhale, jump back, plank pose. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Settle with the breath, but keep the power of the muscles hugging to the bone. Feel the top of the knees lift, feel the top of the quads lift. And then lengthen the breath down the back of the legs to feel the heels become more grounded. Step the right leg forward, followed by the left. Exhale, bow, standing forward bend. Find the strength and power of your legs here by sweeping the feet toward the midline, lifting the quadriceps once again and drawing the tailbone down toward the floor. Bow deeper. Inhale, lengthen the spine, flow with the breath. Ardha Uttanasana, exhale. Step back, downward facing dog. To feed the strength of the body, we need to draw in toward the midline. And then as you inhale, ride the wave of the breath, come forward into plank, but keep the pubic bone lifted so the core stays strong. Gaze forward, back of the neck long, exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward, plank again. We're building the internal fire, the internal sun. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, last time this way, rise forward, plank pose. Legs are strong, arms are strong, heart soft and melted. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bring your feet a little bit closer in toward your hands so you can feel your heels touch the floor. Legs are powerful, arms are powerful, equal in strength. Stay steady to the midline by squeezing the hands toward the center in an isometric action, and then inhale, lift the right leg up toward the sky. Hips stay square for a moment. Go to that back left leg and tack the outer hip back. Open the right hip, bending the right knee, and reach the foot back behind you as if you could touch somebody behind you. Enjoy the length through the whole right side of the body and let the left arm bone stay forward. Lengthen the leg back, flex the foot and square the hips. Release the right foot down toward the floor. Inhale, lift the left leg up toward the sky. Three-legged dog, and then take it into the hip stretch. Open it up, thigh stretch for the left leg as you bend it. Reach back behind you, but keep the shoulders square to the front of the mat. And then inhale, straighten the leg, square the hips, and come down, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right leg forward, followed by the left. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep up, reach for the sky all the way up. And palms together in front of the heart. Pause and feel the power in your legs now. Release the arms down to the side. And then using the breath to lengthen the body as you reach the arms up, we're going to prepare for handstand prep. Bow forward and touch the floor. This time the palms come flat. Engage the power and strength from the soles and the palms of the hands up through the lines of the arms and into the center of the heart. You're going to lean the weight slightly forward, but you're going to keep your arms steadfast and strong. Hugging to the midline, step the left leg halfway back up the mat. And then inhale, lift the left leg up toward the sky. Power in the back foot as the foot stays strong. Come up onto the ball of the right foot. And maybe, if you want to play, jump. Handstand prep. Use the power of the core to stay center. And then after a few times, release the legs, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Settle with the breath, and as you engage, look forward, place the palms flat once again, and draw that power from the palms of your hand to engage in the back of the chest and soften. Step the right leg halfway back behind you. Staying steadfast in your legs and your arms, you're going to lift on the inhalation the right leg up toward the sky. Leaning slightly forward to come up onto the left ball of the foot. Pause, feel centered with the breath, and then maybe jump. And then settle back down, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale the length of the breath, and then exhale, feel the spine extend and reach. Breathing in 2, and exhale, release the breath. Breathing in 3, and exhale, extend and soften.
Roll onto the outer right edge of the foot and right palm, Vasisthasana, side plank pose.
Lift the left arm up toward the sky. And as you pull into the core, pull everything into the center of the pelvis and extend. Even curl back, reach back, open up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. Draw the breath from the hands and the feet into the center of the back of the shoulders, and then exhale from there. Push the arms long, legs long. Inhale and exhale. Left hand, left outside of the foot. Vasisthasana on the other side. Lift up. Pull the power and strength from the soles of your feet. Lift the hips higher up toward the sky, and then curl back. Open the chest. Let the freedom of the breath strengthen the entire body. Exhale, release. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lengthen the breath. Exhale, surrender the effort. Inhale, nourish the power. And then exhale, surrender. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, soften. Inhale, step the right leg followed by the left and bow. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up toward the sky. Reach the palms down in front of the heart and pause. Arms down by the side. Warrior III. Right leg's gonna come forward, so step the left leg halfway back on the mat and square the hips. Bend the front knee, keeping your hands on your pelvic bowl, square the hips to the front, and power of the warrior, you're gonna straighten the front leg and come forward into Warrior III with the arms on the hips. Feel the power from both legs pulling into the core of the pelvis, and from the core of the pelvis, extend the breath down through the lines of the legs and gaze forward.
Release the leg back down to the floor, standing in Tadasana.
And exhale, dive for the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Now we're going to come into Warrior III from the floor. So step the right leg back and bring the hands up onto the pelvis so you feel the difference. Bend the front knee a little bit and launch off. Right leg lifts away from the floor. Left leg steady and gaze forward. Squaring the hips as best as you can. Shoulders stay back. And then really extend and grow the space of the warrior. And release the leg back down. Place the hands and step back, downward facing dog. Breathing the length of the breath to create space in the body and feel the strength and power you've built in your practice. Lengthening the breath in and extending the breath on the exhalation. One more deep breath. Pull the breath from the soles of the feet, from the palms of the hand, and then full stretch. Let the spine extend. From downward facing dog, we're going to go forward into Warrior I. Step the right leg forward in between the hands and swivel the back heel down to the floor. Pause and feel the four corners of both feet rooted. Inhale. Bring the torso upright, arms dangling down by the sides. Allow the breath to fill the upper torso, fill the body. Palms facing forward, reach for the sky. Hands come to shoulder width. Let the front knee bend a little deeper. And as you breathe, breathe in the back left waist. Square the left hip point forward and settle forward into your front knee. Deeper in the power of the legs. Freedom for the spine, gaze up. Ride the wave of the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl back. Open up your Warrior I. Rise the waves of the arms and then curl. Exhale, release the hands all the way back down. Spin the back heel up and press back. Downward facing dog. Settle into the breath. Lift the toes here to feel the power of the legs engage. Soften the knees and lift the sitting bones high to the sky. And then pressing the tops of your quads straight, strengthen the legs. Inhale, step the left foot forward in between the hands, swivel the back heel down. Come all the way up. Reach the arms. Warrior I. Settle into the front knee. Allow the breath to be calm. Remembering the back side of the body, breathe in the back right waist and use that widening breath to spin the right hip point forward. Stay steady in the legs and reach up, create space. Lift the spine, gaze up. Exhale, release the hands down to the floor. Spin the back heel up first, place the hands flat and step the left leg back, downward facing dog. Feel that power that you created in your legs, the power from the palms of your arms. And let the full length of the spine reach as the head descends, but the arms stay lifted. Creating the power of the breath through the form of the pose to move freely from that power and strength you've created. Bring the knees mat distance apart. Untuck the toes and settle the hips back, child's pose. Rest the forehead against the mat. And as the legs settle, feel their weight. Let gravity aid you in your release. Allow the spine to unfurl, the shoulders to relax and release. The efforts and power of your practice are done. Allow there to be a surrender in the hips and a surrender in the breath. Feeling the heat through the body, allow the breath to cool the body. And allow the heaviness from the hips to remain. Allow the breath to gently expand. Maintain that sense of release and heaviness in the legs. And follow the inhalation breath to slowly lift the torso to come back upright. Transitioning into Shavasana, bring your legs around to one side. Lie down on your side to come to your back. Legs are hip distance apart, feet naturally turn to the side. The arms come away from the body, palms upward to receive. And as the floor receives the weight of the body, let it go and create a release from inside the pelvis. Relaxing down the lines of the legs and softening through the soles of the feet. Create a length and a letting go in the tops of the feet and even a space between the toes. Release the ankle joints all the way around and soften the low legs, the shins, the calves. Create an opening around the knees. A softness in the back. Relax the thighs, let them go. And even the underside of the belly is soft and free for the natural breath. Allow the spine to unfurl against the floor and invite the muscles that hold the spine to widen beyond the edges of the body. The shoulders release down, away from the head and the neck. And the upper arms, let gravity release them. Soften the elbow and even the eye of the elbow. Release the forearms and open the wrists. The back of the hands extend and the front of the palms soften. Let go of the weight of the head, let it drop back. Create a softness in the back of the neck, a melting in the front of the throat. And as all the muscles of the face are invited to soften, create a gentle parting between the teeth. The hinge of the jaw releases. The root of the tongue softens. The internal gaze is down and across. Let the eyes settle back. The eyebrows broaden apart. The space between them recedes. Melt the forehead, release the scalp, and invite the mind to soften back. And as your inhale begins to deepen, thread the inhale to the fingers and the toes for small, gentle movements. And on your next inhale, slowly bend the knees and rest the soles of the feet on the floor, feeling the heaviness in your legs. On your exhalation, roll to your right side and rest on your right side for a couple of breaths, turning toward the floor to release the organs of the lungs and the heart. Maintaining a heaviness through the pelvis and the legs. Allow the head to be the last thing that comes up as you use your left hand into the floor to come all the way back up to a comfortable cross-legged seat. Taking a moment to find your center. Bring your palms gently onto your knees. And as you press your knees up into your hands, feel how that strengthens the muscles that hold the low back. Maintaining this lift and this power you've gotten from your practice today, bring your palms together in front of the heart, honoring the time you've taken as a mother to commit to your practice, and bring your hands gently to the heart with a bow of the chin, offering a gratitude to this body, this breath. Namaste.
Invite yourself to learn proper alignment and form.
This is plank pose, a power pose for your core center. So Nancy will tuck her toes under and come to plank. Alana will allow her knees to stay on the floor, but she's going to lower onto her forearms. Good. The alignment for plank pose is aligning the hips. They usually need to raise higher than you think. You think of the abdomen on the breath drawing in as if you had a zipper, zipping the abdomen muscles underneath the rib cage. The fulcrum of the shoulders is directly over the elbows, over the wrist. She's using the power of her hands to draw in. She's going to soften and melt a little bit between the shoulders. Her gaze is forward, and the extension comes out through the heels as if she's lengthening. Alana, strong, working on the belly muscles, drawing the belly in and wrapping the rib cage to the front plane of the body. She's going to tuck her toes under and take the modified version of plank with her legs straight, walking her legs a little bit further back, and then engaging the midline. Nancy will lift her hips and then release the knees and come to rest. Plank pose. Go ahead and come to all fours to find your alignment. And you want to have your hands directly underneath the shoulders. So Nancy, bring your shoulders further forward and then walk your knees directly underneath the hips. So a couple inches closer in for Nancy and about 1 inch further back for Alana. With a strong engagement of the knuckles on the floor, pull the power of the breath up through the arms and then soften and melt the shoulders to release the heart toward the floor. Allow an engagement of the tone of your belly on the exhalation, and go ahead and tuck the toes under, lifting the knees on the inhalation, press back on the exhalation, downward facing dog. The modification will be with bent knees, so that we allow the bent knees to allow freedom for tighter hamstrings. To find the perfect measure of your downward facing dog, if you inhale and come forward to plank, your shoulders should be directly over the fulcrum of your elbows and your wrists. Soften the elbows a little bit, index knuckle planted, fire the biceps, and then exhale, press back, downward facing dog with straight legs and with bent knees. So once you're in downward facing dog, the focal point sits in the back of the shoulders between the shoulder blades. The lower arms focus internally rotating. The pressure is in the thumb pad and the index knuckle. And then she'll soften her elbows a little bit and roll the upper arms externally away from the upper ears and neck. And now the breath pulls from the hands and it meets in the back of the chest and soften and melt right between the shoulder blades once again. Beautiful. Full extension up through the back body, over the hips, and down into the heels. If she lifts her toes, she's going to get stronger legs and less weight in the wrist. She's going to engage the quads and lift the quads up. The full extension comes on the exhalation as she'll press from the focal point in the back of the shoulders down through her arms to lengthen her spine and reach all the way back through her legs and to her heels. The ears come in line with the upper arms so that there's a deeper engagement once again. Freedom for the shoulders, opening for the hips, the hamstrings, beautiful downward facing dog. So for tighter hamstrings, we work with bent knees. What we want to do is invite the shoulders to come forward 1 or 2 inches. She engages the midline by drawing the hands in toward the midline. Shoulders come onto the back, and then she softens and melts here. The upper arms roll away, freeing the shoulders and allowing the sitting bones to lift higher. She gets the extension of the spine and draws the floating rib cage back toward the belly. She lifts her gaze a little bit, and then she releases fully back. Even with bent knees, she gets a beautiful extension, downward facing dog. From a seated position, the knees come as wide apart to support just the outer edges of the ribs. So Nancy will bring her knees slightly closer together, and Alana's distance looks nice. The inhalation will lift the spine, and the exhalation will be the forward fold into child's pose. The modification is the arms come back to the side. This is a modification for ease in the shoulder and descension of the hips. For Nancy, I'm going to have her stretch her arms longer, come up onto her fingertips, soften her elbows, and energetically lift the elbows up to the sky. So keep the elbows bent and soft. And then she can soften even more here. Once she has that release in the upper shoulders, she can let the palms come flat on the floor. And the release of the hips takes a little toning of the feet. So if you think of clicking your 10 toenails into the floor, you can actually feel your pelvic floor fire. From there, the releasing of the hip is the action of the tailbone. So there's an external rotation for the release and the letting go. The spinal fluid from the sacrum up onto the crown of the head to the occiput. The breath is long and the release is a full surrender. For a modification in child's pose, Alana's going to bring her arms out to the side. For those of you with knee injuries or tight hips, she'll lengthen her arms and come up for one moment. So bring your arms forward for me. And we're going to place the brick as a rest for the forehead, so you don't take as much pressure on the shoulders or the neck. And this will give you more ease in the hips, more ease in the knees, and she can focus the breath in the full surrender of child's pose, Balasana. We're looking at two seated postures today, Sukhasana, the posture of ease, and Virabhadrasana, the heroine's pose. The word asana literally means seat. So wherever you take your seat, you want to feel balanced and strong. For Sukhasana, when the hips are open, if the knees are at the same level of the hips, then you may stay in this pose without raising the hips. She's going to use her hands, palms flat on her knees, and she's going to press her knees slightly up into her hands so that the low back lifts in and up. The sacrum is rising up, the gateway of the hips and the gateway of the shoulder. So to find slightly more ease in her pose, she's going to bring her shoulders and her chest forward, and then she's going to anchor the back plate of her pelvic bowl down toward the floor. And then the breath lines up the diaphragm of the pelvis, the diaphragm of the lungs, and the diaphragm that sits in the throat for full freedom and ease. Virasana, if the hips are tight, this is an easier pose to find comfort. The legs are hip distance apart, and Alana's going to widen her feet wider apart. So the feet, if you were to draw a finger line from the pinky toe to the heel to the shin, is the alignment that allows there to be freedom in the hips. We're using the seat of a block so that Alana's sitting bones, she can feel the feedback of the sitting bones against the block and allow the forward tilt of the pelvis to lift the low sacrum in and up. From there, with the foundation of her seat on the block, she's allowing the diaphragm of the lungs to slide over the diaphragm of the pelvic floor, and then she can slide her hands directly back so the elbows are bent and the shoulders have a freedom. They lift and the arm bones are back. The palate comes over the diaphragm and there's a slight leaning back as if they're leaning back into the support of all the mothers who've gone before them.